Commander Jake Morrison stood in the middle of the largest room he had ever seen. The walls stretched so high that he could barely see the ceiling. Around him sat thousands of aliens from different worlds. Some looked like giant insects. Others glowed with strange lights. A few floated in the air without any support. This was the Galactic Council, and Jake was the first human to stand before them. Jake felt small and out of place. Earth had only discovered alien life 3 years ago. Now humanity was joining the biggest government in the galaxy. He tried not to show his nervousness as he waited for the council to speak. A tall alien stepped forward. Its body looked like it was made of crystal that bent light into rainbow colors. Jake had learned that this was a Vrexian, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. The Vrexian's voice sounded like wind chimes when it spoke. "Welcome to the Galactic Council, Commander Morrison. We are pleased to accept humanity as our newest member species." The Vrexian made a gesture, and a large screen appeared in the air. It showed weapons and equipment. "As we do for all new members, we will provide your military with defensive weapons. These will help protect your ships and colonies." Jake looked at the weapons on the screen. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He knew guns and military equipment. What he saw confused him. The rifles looked old and heavy. The design seemed basic, almost primitive. The power packs were huge and clunky. The armor looked like something from 50 years ago. "These are your standard weapons?" Jake asked. He tried to keep his voice polite. The Vrexian nodded. "Yes. These are Mark 7 plasma rifles. They have served the galaxy well for many years. Your people will find them very useful for your patrol duties." Jake noticed something strange. When the Vrexian spoke, other council members looked at each other. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. Others seemed to smile, if that was what those expressions meant. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Something was wrong here. "We are grateful for your help," Jake said carefully. "When will we receive these weapons?" "They are already being loaded onto your transport ship. You may return to Earth and begin training your soldiers immediately." The meeting ended soon after. Jake walked back to his ship with his small team of advisors. Nobody spoke until they were safely inside their own vessel. "Sir, those weapons are junk," said Lieutenant Kate Sullivan. She was one of Earth's best engineers. "I was watching the technical specifications. Those rifles are ancient by galactic standards." Jake sat down heavily in his chair. "I know. I saw it too. The question is why? Why would they give us old equipment?" Colonel Danny Hayes, the senior military officer on the trip, shook his head. "Maybe they think we are too primitive to handle better weapons. Or maybe they want to keep us weak." "Either way, we don't have a choice," Jake said. The council was clear. We use their technology or we don't get access to space beyond our own solar system. We need those trade routes. We need access to other worlds. Kate picked up a data pad showing the weapon designs. "Then we better learn how to use them. And fast." The weapons arrived on Earth 3 weeks later. Huge cargo ships landed at military bases around the world. Soldiers and engineers gathered to receive the alien technology. Everyone was excited. This was humanity's first real alien equipment. Colonel Danny Hayes stood at the main base in Nevada, watching as workers unloaded crate after crate of weapons. Beside him, Kate Sullivan opened one of the crates and pulled out a Mark 7 plasma rifle. The rifle was heavy, much heavier than human weapons. The metal was dark gray and felt rough. Kate turned it over in her hands, examining every part. Her face grew more troubled with each passing moment. "This is worse than I thought," she said quietly. Danny looked at her. "How bad?" Kate pointed to different parts of the rifle. "See this power cell? It is 3 times bigger than it needs to be. The plasma coils are arranged wrong. They will waste most of the energy. This cooling system is a joke. The rifle will overheat after maybe 30 shots. And look at this targeting computer. It is completely outdated. Our video game systems have better processing power." "Can we fix them?" Kate bit her lip. "Maybe, But the Council has rules against modifying their technology. If we change anything, they could kick us out of the Alliance. Danny watched as more crates were unloaded. Thousands of rifles, millions of rounds of ammunition, body armor that looked barely better than modern Earth Kevlar. We don't have a choice. We have to use what they gave us. Over the next month, human soldiers trained with the new weapons. The problems became clear very quickly. The rifles were powerful enough to punch through steel, but they were slow and unreliable. The targeting systems lagged behind fast-moving targets. The power cells drained too quickly. The cooling systems failed during rapid fire. Lieutenant Marcus Chen ran training drills with his squad every day. He was a good officer who cared about his soldiers. He watched them struggle with the alien rifles and felt anger growing inside him. "These weapons are going to get people killed," Marcus told Kate one evening. She had come to the training ground to observe the soldiers. Kate nodded. "I know. I have been studying them. The more I learn, the more certain I am that this was done on purpose." "What do you mean?" "I mean the Council designed these weapons to be bad. Or at least they gave us versions that are deliberately outdated. Every inefficiency, every design flaw, it all seems intentional. They want us to be weak." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "Why would they do that?" "Because they are afraid of us. Or they want to control us. Maybe both." Kate looked out at the soldiers training. "Humans are aggressive by galactic standards. We fight a lot. We have wars. Maybe they think if they keep us weak, we won't be a threat. So what do we do?" Kate was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We do what humans always do. We adapt. We overcome. We find a way to win with what we have." Marcus liked the sound of that. "How?" "Give me some time. I have some ideas, but I will need help. Engineers, soldiers who know these weapons, people who are not afraid to break a few rules." "You will have it. Whatever you need." Kate picked up one of the Mark VII rifles from the training rack. She looked at it like it was a puzzle to be solved. "They think giving us bad weapons will keep us down. They are about to learn that humans don't stay down. We get back up, and we come back stronger." The news came 2 weeks later. The Council was assigning human forces to patrol sectors in the frontier regions of space. These were supposed to be quiet areas, far from any real danger. It was busy work, meant to keep humanity occupied while the important species handled real threats. Jake Morrison, now in charge of all human military operations in space, read the assignment orders with growing frustration. They were being sent to the middle of nowhere with weapons that barely worked. "This is an insult," Danny Hayes said. "They are treating us like children." "Yes, they are," Jake agreed. "But we are going anyway. We will take these assignments. We will patrol their empty sectors. And we will show them that they made a mistake underestimating humanity." Kate Sullivan entered the room carrying a modified rifle. "Speaking of mistakes, I think I found a way to fix ours." She placed the rifle on the table. It looked different from the standard Mark VII. Smaller power cell, different cooling vents, modified targeting screen. "What did you do?" Jake asked. "I made it better, much better, and I did it using mostly human technology. Simple stuff that we have had for decades. The Council's weapons are overcomplicated. I stripped out all the unnecessary parts and replaced them with reliable components. This rifle fires faster, stays cooler, and the power cell lasts twice as long." Danny picked up the rifle. It felt lighter in his hands. "Does it work?" "I have tested it extensively. It works perfectly. Better than the original in every way." Jake felt hope rising in his chest for the first time in weeks. "Can you do this to all our weapons?" The transport ship dropped through the atmosphere of Kestor 4 like a falling stone. Inside, Lieutenant Marcus Chen gripped his Mark VII rifle and tried to stay calm. Around him, 12 other soldiers sat strapped into their seats, all holding the same heavy alien weapons, all wearing the same nervous expressions. This was supposed to be a routine patrol. The mining colony on Kestor 4 had missed 2 check-ins, but that happened sometimes. Communication equipment failed. People forgot to send messages. It was probably nothing. Then the distress call came through. Pirates were attacking the colony. People were dying. The human patrol was the closest military unit, but they were still 3 hours away. By the time they arrived, half the colony might be dead. 2 minutes to landing, the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. Sensors show at least 50 hostile contacts, probably Krell raiders. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Krell pirates were famous across the galaxy. They were big, aggressive, and heavily armed. Their weapons were modern military equipment, not ancient surplus like the humans carried. Private Amy Rodriguez sat across from Marcus. She was young, only 22, but she had steady hands and a good eye. Sir, are we really going to fight Krell pirates with these rifles? Marcus checked his weapon one more time. The power cell showed full charge, but he knew it would not last long. The cooling system was already warm just from carrying it around. In a real fight, the rifle would overheat quickly. We are all they have, Rodriguez. We have to try. The transport touched down hard. The rear door dropped open and smoke poured inside. Marcus could hear weapons fire and screaming. Move, 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 he shouted. The squad rushed out into chaos. The mining colony was burning. Dead bodies lay in the streets. Krell raiders moved through the buildings, firing their green plasma weapons at anything that moved. They were huge creatures, nearly 8 feet tall, with thick scales and massive claws. Marcus raised his rifle and found his first target. A Krell raider was dragging a colonist from a building. Marcus aimed carefully and squeezed the trigger. The rifle bucked in his hands. The plasma bolt flew toward the target and missed by 2 feet. The targeting computer had lagged, showing the raider where he had been a second ago, not where he was now. Damn it! Marcus adjusted and fired again. This time the bolt hit, catching the Krell in the shoulder. The raider roared and spun around, returning fire. Green plasma bolts chewed through the wall next to Marcus's head. All around him, his squad was engaging the enemy. The sound of plasma weapons filled the air, but the humans were struggling. Their rifles were slow to aim. The targeting systems could not keep up with moving enemies. Soldiers had to fire 2 or 3 times to hit what trained Marines should have hit on the first shot. Private Amy Rodriguez took cover behind a concrete barrier. She fired at a Krell raider, but her shots went wide. The targeting computer was showing her one thing while her instincts told her another. She made a quick decision. She turned off the targeting system completely and aimed by eye, the way she used to hunt deer back in Montana. The next shot hit perfectly. The Krell went down hard. Amy kept firing, trusting her own skills instead of the faulty computer. It worked better, but it was slow. She had to aim carefully each time, and that gave the enemy time to shoot back. Marcus found himself pinned behind a destroyed vehicle. 2 Krell raiders were advancing on his position, firing steadily. He returned fire, but his rifle was getting hot. The temperature warning light was already flashing red. He had only fired maybe 20 shots. "Chen to all units, watch your heat levels," he called over the radio. "These rifles overheat fast, short bursts only." But short bursts meant less fire on the enemy. Less fire meant the Krell could advance freely. Marcus could see the tactical problem clearly. The humans were outgunned, and their weapons were failing them. A Krell grenade landed next to Marcus's cover. He had 1 second to realize what it was before the explosion threw him through the air. He hit a wall hard and his helmet cracked. Pain shot through his body. His vision blurred. Through the ringing in his ears, Marcus heard more weapons fire. He tried to move but could not make his legs work. Someone grabbed him and dragged him behind better cover. It was Amy Rodriguez. She had left her position to save him. "Stay down, sir," Amy shouted. She was firing controlled bursts at the enemy, managing her rifle's heat level carefully. Every shot counted. Every shot had to hit. She could not afford to waste ammunition. The battle went on for 2 hours. It felt like 2 days. The human squad fought with everything they had, but they were losing. 3 soldiers were dead, 5 more were wounded. The rifles were breaking down from overheating. Power cells were running empty. Then help arrived. A council patrol ship appeared in orbit and sent down reinforcements. Real troops with modern weapons and working equipment. They swept through the colony in 30 minutes and drove off the remaining pirates. Marcus sat in the medical bay of the patrol ship, getting his wounds treated. A Vrexian officer came to speak with him. The alien's crystal body showed colors that Marcus had learned meant satisfaction. "Your squad performed adequately," the Vrexian said. "Casualties were within expected parameters for Mark 7 equipped units." Marcus stared at the alien. "Expected parameters? 3 of my people are dead. We went into combat with weapons that barely work, against enemies with modern equipment. This was not adequate. This was a massacre that we barely survived." The Vrexian's colors shifted slightly. "The Mark 7 rifle is standard issue for developing species. It provides sufficient capability for patrol duties. Your casualties are unfortunate, but not unexpected." "Not unexpected?" Marcus felt anger burning through his pain. "You knew these weapons would fail. You sent us into combat knowing we would die. We provided the equipment specified for your species level. How you use it is your responsibility." The Vrexian turned to leave. "Your commander will receive a full report. I suggest better training for your troops." After the alien left, Amy Rodriguez came to visit Marcus. She looked tired and sad. They had both lost friends today. "They knew, didn't they, sir? They gave us garbage on purpose." Marcus nodded slowly. "Yes. They wanted us to be weak. They wanted us to need their help, and people died because of it. What are we going to do? We are going to make sure this never happens again." The news reached Earth 2 days later. Kate Sullivan read the battle report 3 times, each time feeling more angry. The Mark 7 rifles had performed exactly as she predicted. Multiple failures, overheating, targeting problems, and 3 good soldiers were dead because of it. She was in her workshop on the moon when Colonel Danny Hayes came to find her. He looked older than he had a month ago, tired and angry. "How many modified rifles do you have ready?" Danny asked without greeting. "About 200 so far. We are working as fast as we can, but we have to be careful. If the council finds out what we are doing—" "I don't care what the council thinks anymore," Danny interrupted. "Our people are dying out there because they gave us weapons designed to fail. How fast can you upgrade the rest?" Kate thought quickly. "With more resources and more workers, maybe 2 months for all of them." "You have whatever you need. Money, people, equipment, all of it. I want every human soldier carrying a working weapon as soon as possible." "The council won't like it." "Then they should have given us proper equipment in the first place." Danny pulled out a datapad and showed Kate something. "I have been doing research. The Mark 7 rifle was retired from frontline service by most species over 200 years ago. They gave us weapons they consider obsolete and dangerous. Well, we are going to show them what humans can do with obsolete equipment." Kate looked at the datapad. It showed the Council's own reports on the Mark 7. Every problem she had discovered was already known. The overheating, the power waste, the faulty targeting. They had known all along, and they gave the rifles to humans anyway. "They wanted us to fail," Kate said quietly. "Yes, but we are not going to. Get back to work on those modifications. Make the weapons better. Make them reliable. Because the next time our people face combat, they are going to have equipment they can trust." Kate felt something harden inside her. She had been careful before. Worried about breaking rules and upsetting the council. Not anymore. I can make them more than reliable. I can make them better than anything the council expects. Then do it. Show them what human engineering can accomplish. Over the next weeks, Kate and her team worked around the clock. They tore apart every Mark 7 rifle and rebuilt it with improved components. They stripped out the inefficient power cells and installed compact human batteries. They replaced the overcomplicated cooling systems with simple, reliable ones based on basic thermodynamics. They rewrote the targeting software using algorithms that actually worked. The modified rifles were lighter, faster, and could fire 3 times longer before overheating. They were more accurate and more reliable. They were what the Mark 7 should have been all along. News of the Kestor 4 battle spread through the human military. Every soldier heard about the 3 deaths. Every soldier understood that they were fighting with one hand tied behind their backs. Morale dropped. People started questioning whether joining the council had been the right choice, but then the modified weapons started arriving. Soldiers who received the improved Mark 7 rifles took them to the range and discovered something amazing. These weapons worked, really worked, better than the originals in every way. Lieutenant Marcus Chen was released from the medical bay after 3 weeks. His injuries had been serious but not permanent. The first thing he did was request one of the modified rifles. Kate Sullivan personally delivered it to him. "I am sorry about your squad," Kate said as she handed him the weapon. "I wish we had finished these modifications sooner." Marcus took the rifle. It felt different immediately, lighter, better balanced. Hira, the workshop on Luna Base, hummed with activity day and night. Kate Sullivan walked between rows of workbenches where engineers and technicians took apart Mark 7 rifles and rebuilt them into something better. The air smelled of hot metal and plasma coolant. Everyone worked with focused intensity. Kate stopped at one workstation where Private Ryan Foster was examining a cooling system component. Ryan had survived the Kestor 4 battle, but barely. His left arm was still in a regeneration sleeve from plasma burns. He insisted on working anyway. "What did you find?" Kate asked. Ryan held up a small metal cylinder covered in tubes and wires. "This is the thermal regulator from a standard Mark 7. Look at how complicated it is. 37 separate parts, all working together to manage heat. And you know what? It does not even work well." He placed it on the bench and picked up another component, much simpler. "This is a human heat pipe, 6 parts total. Basic thermodynamics. It moves heat from the barrel to the cooling fins using simple physics. No complicated systems that can break down, and it works twice as well as the alien version." Kate nodded. She had seen this pattern in every system they examined. The Council's technology was not bad, but it was unnecessarily complicated. It was like they designed things to be impressive rather than functional. "Why would they build things this way?" Ryan asked. "It makes no sense." "Because they can afford to," Kate said. "They have huge industrial bases, unlimited resources, and centuries of manufacturing infrastructure. If something breaks, they just replace it. They never had to learn to build things that last." "But we did." "Exactly. Humans spent thousands of years learning to make things simple and reliable. We had to. We did not have endless resources. Every part had to count. Every system had to work." Kate picked up the human heat pipe. "This might be less advanced than their version, but it is better at doing the job." Captain Brandon Lee joined them. He was a former Marine engineer who had been working on the power cell modifications. "Kate, you need to see this. We just finished testing the new power cells." They walked to the testing range, a sealed chamber where they could safely fire the modified weapons. Brandon picked up a rifle and handed it to Kate. "Standard Mark 7 with our modifications, full power cell. See how long it lasts." Kate took position and started firing at targets downrange. The rifle felt good in her hands, smooth trigger pull, instant target acquisition, no lag. She fired in controlled bursts, then switched to rapid fire. The rifle stayed cool. The display showed the power level dropping slowly. She kept firing. 3 minutes passed. 5 minutes. The original Mark 7 would have been empty after 2 minutes of sustained fire. Kate was still going. Finally, after 7 minutes, the power cell reached 0. 7 minutes of continuous fire, Brandon said with satisfaction. The original could barely manage 2 minutes. We tripled the effective power capacity. How did you do it? Human battery technology. The Council's power cells use a plasma-based storage system, very high energy density but also very wasteful. The conversion efficiency is terrible. Our lithium graphene batteries are more efficient. They hold less total energy, but they deliver it better. Less waste means more shots. Kate felt excitement building. What about the other modifications? The cooling system works perfectly. The rifle can fire continuously without overheating. The targeting computer is running at triple speed with better accuracy. We even improved the barrel focusing coils. Tighter plasma containment means better range and impact. These are not Mark 7 rifles anymore, Kate said. These are something completely new. The troops are calling them Mark 7 Reborn, Ryan said, because we brought them back from the dead. Kate liked that name. It felt right. How many do we have completed? About 800 now. Production is accelerating. We have assembly lines running 24 hours. In 6 weeks, every human soldier will have an upgraded weapon. But there was a problem, and everyone knew it. The Council had strict regulations about modifying their technology. Any changes required approval. Kate and her team had made hundreds of changes without asking permission. If the Council found out, there would be consequences. Colonel Danny Hayes arrived at the workshop that evening. He brought Commander Jake Morrison with him. Both men looked serious. "We need to talk about what happens when the Council finds out," Danny said without preamble. Kate set down the rifle she was working on. "They will be angry. They might try to confiscate the modified weapons. They could even expel humanity from the Alliance." "Can they do that?" Jake asked. "I mean legally, do they have the right to tell us how to modify our own equipment?" "That depends on how you read the regulations," Kate said. She pulled up the relevant documents on a display screen. "The Council gave us these weapons. They become our property. The regulations say we cannot reverse engineer Council technology to create new weapons. But we are not doing that. We are just making repairs and improvements to equipment we already own." "That is a thin argument," Danny said. "Yes, but it is an argument. And here is the thing. The regulations exist to prevent member species from stealing advanced technology and mass-producing it. But everything we did uses human technology. Human batteries, human cooling systems, human software. We are not stealing anything. We are just making their bad designs better." Jake studied the documents carefully. He had been a lawyer before joining the military. "This might actually work. As long as we can prove that the modifications use human technology and don't reveal Council secrets, we might have legal protection." "There is another factor," Kate added. "The Council gave us Mark 7 rifles. That model was retired from service over 200 years ago. Any proprietary technology in them has long since become public domain across most of the galaxy. We are not revealing secrets. We are just fixing ancient equipment that they gave us." Danny smiled slowly. "So if they complain, we can argue that they gave us such old junk that it was practically falling apart. We were just doing basic maintenance." "Exactly. I like it. But that still leaves one question. When are we going to tell them?" "We are not," Jake said firmly. "Not yet. We let them find out naturally. When our troops perform better than expected, when our weapons work when they should fail, that is when the Council will start asking questions. And by then, we will have proven that our modifications work. Success is the best defense." Kate understood the wisdom in that approach. "So we keep working in secret. For now. But make sure every modification is documented. I want complete records of every change, every component, every line of code. When the Council comes asking, we will show them exactly what we did and prove that we broke no laws." Over the following weeks, the modified weapons continued spreading through human forces. Soldiers trained with the new rifles and discovered capabilities they never expected. The weapons were not just functional, they were excellent. Lieutenant Sophie Grant was an Army Ranger who specialized in long-range combat. She took one of the modified rifles to the training range and spent a full day testing it. What she discovered amazed her. The original Mark VII had an effective range of about 400 meters. Beyond that, the plasma dissipated too much to be accurate or powerful. But the modified version, with its improved barrel coils and better plasma containment, could hit targets at 800 meters reliably. Sophie brought Kate to the range to show her. "Watch this," Sophie said. She set up a target at 750 meters. She aimed carefully and fired. The plasma bolt crossed the distance in a flash and punched through the target dead center. "The Council said plasma weapons have limited range compared to projectile weapons," Sophie said. "They said that was just a limitation of the technology, but it is not. It is just bad engineering. With proper magnetic containment, plasma can travel just as far as a bullet." Kate examined the rifle. "We tightened the focusing coils and increased the magnetic field strength. It uses more power per shot, but the plasma stays cohesive longer. Can we make it even better?" "Maybe. What are you thinking?" Sophie lowered her voice. "I am thinking we can add a manual override. Let the shooter adjust power levels on the fly. More power for long shots, less power for close combat to conserve ammunition. Give the soldier control." Kate felt her mind racing. That was a good idea. The original design has fixed power output, but if we add a simple variable resistor and a control switch, we could create multiple power modes. Would that work? Only one way to find out. They spent the next week developing the modification. It was not easy. The plasma generator had to maintain stable output across different power levels. Too much variation and the weapon could explode. Too little, and the feature would be useless. But finally, they got it working. The new rifles had 3 modes: standard mode for normal combat, high power mode that hit harder and reached farther but drained the battery faster, and low power mode that conserved energy for extended fights. A simple switch on the side of the rifle let the user change modes instantly. When soldiers started receiving rifles with the power mode feature, word spread quickly. This was not just an improvement. This was a game changer. Soldiers could adapt their weapons to different situations. A scout could use low power mode for all-day operations. A sniper could use high power mode for critical shots. Infantry could switch between modes as the battle changed. The modifications kept coming. Better grips for human hands, improved sights, lighter materials. Each change made the weapons more effective, more reliable, more suited to human needs. The Mark VII reborn rifles were becoming something the Council never imagined. But Kate knew this could not stay secret forever. Sooner or later, humanity would face real combat again. And when they did, the galaxy would see what human engineering could accomplish. Private Amy Rodriguez visited Kate one evening. She had been assigned to one of the Frontier Patrol units and was shipping out soon. "I wanted to thank you," Amy said, "for the weapon, for making sure we have something that works." "You earned it," Kate replied. "You saved lives at Kestor 4, including Lieutenant Chen. I just did what I had to do. But I thought about those 3 soldiers we lost. If we had these rifles then, maybe they would still be alive." Kate felt the weight of that truth. "Maybe. Probably. That is why we are doing this. So no more soldiers die because they were given bad equipment." Amy held up her modified rifle. "This weapon is amazing. Better than anything I ever trained with on Earth. And you made it from the junk the Council gave us." "That is incredible. We just fixed what was broken." "No," Amy said firmly. "You did more than that. You showed that humans do not accept limitations. We take what we are given and make it better. That is our strength." After Amy left, Kate stood alone in the workshop. Around her, the alert came through at 0400 hours. Commander Jake Morrison was pulled from sleep by the urgent blaring of alarms. He reached his command center in under 3 minutes, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "Report," he ordered. Captain Lisa Moore stood at the communications console, her face pale. "Sir, we have a distress call from Outpost 17. They are under heavy attack. Krell marauders, at least 1,000 strong with full military equipment." Jake felt his blood run cold. Outpost 17 was a critical supply station on the edge of human-controlled space. It supported 15 colonies and served as a fuel depot for long-range patrols. Losing it would be a disaster. "How many defenders do they have?" 50 Marines, sir. They are holding, but they cannot last long against those numbers." "Where is the nearest Council response force?" Lisa checked her displays. 8 hours away. By the time they arrive, the outpost will be destroyed. Jake made his decision instantly. "Alert all human units in range. I want every soldier ready to deploy in 30 minutes. How many can we get there?" 300, maybe 350 if we strip every patrol ship. 300 against 1,000. Terrible odds. But Jake thought about the modified weapons his soldiers now carried, about the training they had done, about the human spirit that refused to accept defeat. Do it. Get everyone there as fast as possible, and notify the Council. Let them know we are responding. The Council's response came back 20 minutes later. The message was short and dismissive. "Human forces are welcome to attempt defense. However, we recommend evacuation and strategic withdrawal. Success unlikely with current force disposition. Translation, run away because you cannot win." Colonel Danny Hayes read the message and threw his tablet across the room. "They want us to abandon those people. They want us to fail." "Then we will not fail," Jake said quietly. "Get to the transport. We are leading this fight personally." The human force assembled quickly. 347 soldiers, all equipped with Mark 7 Reborn rifles. They boarded transport ships and headed for Outpost 17 at maximum speed. The journey would take 2 hours. 2 hours while 50 Marines tried to hold against 1,000 Krell raiders. Lieutenant Marcus Chen sat in his transport, checking his weapon for the 10th time. Around him, his squad did the same. These were veterans now. Most had seen combat. All of them had heard about Kestor 4. They knew what they were facing. "We are going to be outnumbered 3-1, Private Ryan Foster said quietly. "That is pretty bad." "We have better weapons now," Amy Rodriguez replied. She was a sergeant now, promoted after Kestor 4. "And we have something else. We have a point to prove." Marcus nodded. "The Council thinks we are weak. They gave us garbage equipment and sent us to die. Well, today we show them what humans can really do. We show them that we are not helpless. We are not second-rate. We are warriors, and we are going to win this fight." The soldiers around him straightened. Fear was still there, but now it was mixed with determination. They had trained hard with their new weapons. They were ready. The transports arrived at Outpost 17 to find a battle already raging. The outpost was a cluster of buildings surrounded by defensive walls. Krell forces had surrounded it completely, pouring fire into the defenses. The 50 Marines inside were fighting desperately, but they were running out of ammunition and options. Jake Morrison stood in the command transport, looking at the tactical display. The Krell had superior numbers and firepower. They held all the advantages, but they had made one mistake. They had focused entirely on the outpost. They were not watching their flanks. "All units, this is Morrison. We are going to hit them from 3 sides simultaneously. Break their formation and force them to fight in multiple directions. Captain Moore, take the north approach. Colonel Hayes, take the south. I will lead the center assault with Lieutenant Chen's company. Move fast, hit hard, and do not give them time to organize." The transports dropped low and fast, landing away from the main battle. Human soldiers poured out and formed up quickly. Then they advanced. The Krell saw them coming and turned to meet the new threat. They expected the same slow, ineffective fire they had encountered at Kestor 4. They expected easy victories. They got something very different. Marcus Chen's squad moved through cover with practiced speed. When they reached firing range, Marcus raised his modified rifle and found his first target, a Krell officer coordinating the assault. Marcus switched his rifle to high power mode and fired. The targeting computer locked on instantly. The shot crossed 600 meters and took the Krell in the head. The raider dropped like a stone. "Fire at will!" Marcus shouted. His squad opened up. Plasma bolts rained down on the Krell positions. The modified rifles fired fast and accurate. The targeting systems tracked enemies perfectly. Soldiers switched between power modes as needed, adapting to each situation. The Krell were shocked. These were not the same humans they had fought before. These humans moved with precision. Their weapons worked. Their fire was devastating. Captain Lisa Moore led her unit on the northern approach. She had positioned her best sharpshooters on a ridge overlooking the battlefield. Sergeant Sophie Grant was among them, her rifle set to maximum range mode. "Target their heavy weapons," Lisa ordered. "Take out anything that can hurt the outpost." Sophie found a Krell plasma cannon and its crew, 780 meters. She adjusted her aim slightly to account for wind and fired. The bolt hit the cannon dead center. The weapon exploded, taking its crew with it. Sophie was already moving to her next target. Another cannon. Another perfect shot. Another explosion. The Krell had never faced this kind of long-range precision from plasma weapons. They thought plasma rifles were short-range weapons. The humans proved them wrong. Colonel Danny Hayes led the southern assault with brutal efficiency. His troops moved in coordinated teams, using cover and suppressing fire to advance steadily. The modified rifles never overheated. The power cells lasted through extended firefights. Every system worked exactly as designed. The Krell tried to respond, but their command structure was collapsing. Human sharpshooters were targeting officers and weapon crews. Their formations were being hit from 3 directions. And the humans fighting from inside the outpost had rallied, adding their fire to the battle. Private Amy Rodriguez found herself in close combat when a group of Krell tried to flank her position. She switched her rifle to low power mode, conserving ammunition. The shots were weaker, but still deadly at close range. She fired rapidly, dropping 3 raiders in quick succession. Her rifle stayed cool. The power cell showed 60% charge after dozens of shots. A Krell warrior charged her with a blade. Amy pivoted smoothly and fired from the hip. The bolt caught him in the chest, and he crashed to the ground at her feet. She kept moving, kept firing, kept fighting. The battle raged for 5 hours. The humans fought with skill and courage, but more than that, they fought with weapons they could trust. Rifles that hit what they aimed at, power cells that did not die at critical moments, cooling systems that worked under sustained fire. The Krell had better armor, they had more soldiers, they had heavier weapons, but they could not match the combination of human determination and reliable equipment. Slowly, steadily, the tide turned. Jake Morrison watched from his command position as the Krell formation broke. Their raiders were falling back, retreating in disorder. The human force had taken casualties, but far fewer than expected, and they had achieved the impossible. 300 humans had defeated 1,000 Krell. "All units, maintain pressure," Jake ordered. "Do not let them regroup. Drive them off completely." The final Krell ships lifted off an hour later, carrying their surviving raiders. They left behind their dead and their broken equipment. The battle was over. The humans had won. Marcus Chen stood among his squad, all of them exhausted but alive. He looked at his rifle. The weapon was scratched and dirty from combat, but it had worked perfectly throughout the entire fight. No overheating, no failures, no deaths because of bad equipment. "We did it," Ryan Foster said, his voice filled with wonder. "We actually did it." "Yes, we did," Marcus replied. "And the whole galaxy is going to hear about this." The casualty reports came in slowly. 12 human soldiers killed in action. 37 wounded. Terrible losses, but far better than anyone expected. The Council's projections had estimated 70% casualties for such an engagement. Instead, the humans had achieved victory with losses under 10%. Jake Morrison walked through the outpost after the battle, seeing the damage and the survivors. The 50 Marines who had held out before reinforcements arrived greeted him with exhausted cheers. They had watched the human relief force fight, and they could not believe what they had seen. "Sir, those weapons," one Marine sergeant said. "Those were not standard Mark 7 rifles. They were something else." "No," Jake agreed. "They were not standard. They were better, much better." Kate Sullivan arrived on the next transport, bringing repair equipment and fresh supplies. She found Jake in the command center, writing his report to the Council. "I heard we won," Kate said. "We did. Thanks to your modifications. The weapons performed flawlessly, every single one. No heat failures, no power cell problems, no targeting issues. They worked exactly as you promised." Kate felt relief wash over her. "How many did we lose?" 12 dead, 37 wounded. It hurts, but it could have been so much worse. The Council is going to want to know how we won." Jake smiled grimly. "Let them ask. We used the equipment they gave us. Not our fault if their expectations were wrong." The report reached the Galactic Council 6 hours later. The response was immediate and intense. The Council chamber erupted in confusion and argument. A human force had achieved what most established species would have considered impossible. The Vrexian ambassador demanded a full investigation. "This outcome is not consistent with Mark 7 rifle capabilities. We need to understand what happened." Jake Morrison was summoned to explain. He stood before the Council and delivered his report calmly and clearly. Yes, the human force had modified the weapons. Yes, they used. The Council chamber was different this time. Commander Jake Morrison noticed it the moment he walked in. The usual dismissive atmosphere was gone. Instead, the alien representatives watched him with careful attention. Some looked curious. Others looked concerned. A few looked almost afraid. Jake walked to the central platform with confidence. Beside him came Kate Sullivan and Marcus Chen. Kate carried one of the modified Mark 7 rifles. Marcus wore his combat armor, still scratched and damaged from the battle at Outpost 17. The Vrexian ambassador spoke first. His crystal body showed colors that Jake had learned meant agitation and confusion. "Commander Morrison, the Council has reviewed your battle reports. The results are difficult to believe. You claim that 300 human soldiers defeated over 1,000 Krell marauders using standard Mark 7 equipment." "Not standard," Jake corrected calmly. "Modified. We made improvements." "Unauthorized improvements," the Vrexian said sharply. "Council technology is not to be altered without approval." Kate stepped forward. "The regulations say we cannot reverse engineer Council technology to create new weapons. We did not do that. We simply repaired and maintained the equipment you gave us using human technology and human engineering methods." She began disassembling the rifle as she spoke, her hands moving smoothly. Components came apart, revealing the internal systems. "This power cell uses human lithium graphene battery technology. These cooling pipes use basic thermodynamics that humans discovered 300 years ago. This targeting computer runs software we wrote ourselves. Every modification uses human technology that we already possessed." She laid the components out on a display table. "The Mark 7 rifle you gave us was inefficient and outdated. We fixed it. That is all." A murmur ran through the Council chamber. Representatives from different species leaned forward to examine the components. Some were clearly impressed. Others looked uncomfortable. "The Mark 7 rifle has been in service for over 400 years, the Vrexian protested. "The design is proven and reliable." "Proven to fail," Marcus said bluntly. At Kestor 4, 3 of my soldiers died because these weapons overheated and jammed. The targeting systems lagged. The power cells drained too fast. You gave us defective equipment and sent us into combat knowing it would fail. That is a serious accusation. It is the truth. Marcus pulled up tactical data on a holographic display. The Mark 7 rifle was removed from frontline service by most species over 200 years ago. You gave humans weapons that you consider obsolete. Why? The silence in the chamber was heavy. Finally, a voice spoke from the upper tiers. It was the Arxian Primarch, oldest and most respected member of the council. Because we were afraid, the Primarch said quietly. Humanity is young and aggressive. Your history is filled with wars and conflict. We wanted to ensure you could not become a threat to established powers. So you tried to keep us weak, Jake said. Yes. It was decided that limiting your military capability would protect the stability of the galactic community. We gave you outdated equipment and expected you to remain dependent on council protection. You expected us to fail, Kate added. We expected you to know your place. The Primarch's ancient eyes studied the humans carefully. But you did not. You took our inferior equipment and made it superior. You adapted. You overcame. You proved that human ingenuity is itself a weapon we failed to consider. The Vrexian's colors shifted rapidly, showing distress. This sets a dangerous precedent. If we allow one species to modify council technology without approval, others will follow. The regulations exist for good reasons. Then change the regulations, Jake said firmly. Because humanity will not go back to using defective equipment. Our soldiers deserve weapons that work. If the council cannot provide that, we will continue making our own improvements. That is unacceptable. Then remove us from the alliance, Jake challenged. Send us back to our own space. But know this, we will remember how you treated us, how you gave us junk and expected gratitude, how you sent our people into danger with weapons designed to fail. That memory will shape how humanity deals with the galaxy going forward. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species wanted to punish humanity for breaking protocol. Others recognized that the humans had exposed a fundamental problem with how the council treated new members. Still others saw opportunity in what the humans had accomplished. An ambassador from the Talarian collective stood up. I wish to speak. The chamber quieted. The Talarians were known for their practical approach to problems. The humans have demonstrated remarkable engineering skill. Rather than punishing them, perhaps we should learn from them. My own military uses Mark 7 rifles in reserve units. If the humans can improve them so dramatically, I would like to hire human engineers as consultants. Another voice joined in. The Norvan Defense Force also uses older equipment in frontier regions. We too would benefit from human engineering expertise. This is ridiculous, the Vrexian protested. They violated protocols. They exposed our failure, the Arxian Primarch corrected. We gave them inferior equipment and expected them to accept it without question. Instead, they showed initiative and skill. The fault lies with us, not with them. The Primarch turned to address Jake directly. Commander Morrison, humanity has proven itself worthy of greater responsibility. I propose that human forces be reassigned to active frontier defense with full access to supply lines and strategic resources. Furthermore, I propose that the Council formally recognize humanity's right to maintain and modify their equipment using their own technology. Jake felt the weight of the moment. This was what humanity needed. Real access, real respect. We accept, with one condition. Which is? We want full transparency about the equipment you provide to new member species. No more giving outdated weapons to races you want to control. If you are going to limit someone's military capability, be honest about it. The Primarch considered this. That is a fair request. The Council will review its protocols for integrating new members. There will be changes. The vote took 3 hours. In the end, humanity was granted its new status: active frontier defense, access to better supply lines. Most importantly, formal recognition that human engineering and modifications were acceptable. As Jake, Kate, and Marcus left the council chamber, they found Colonel Danny Hayes waiting with news. "Sir, we have already received 6 formal requests from other species. They want human engineers to examine their equipment. Some are offering very generous contracts." Kate smiled. "They spent centuries making technology complicated and expensive. We spent centuries making things work with limited resources. Now they are learning that sometimes simpler is better." "What do we tell them?" Danny asked. "Tell them we are available for consultation," Jake said. "But our people come first. Human soldiers get the best equipment we can provide. After that, if we have engineers to spare, we can help others." The news spread quickly through human forces. Soldiers cheered when they heard about the Council's decision. They had proven themselves. They had earned respect through skill and courage. Lieutenant Sophie Grant was training new recruits when the announcement came through. She was teaching them how to use the modified rifles, showing them the different power modes and targeting features. "Remember what this means," Sophie told her students. "The Council tried to keep us down with bad equipment. We refused to accept it. We made something better. That is the human way. Never accept limitations. Always find a way to improve. Always adapt and overcome." Private Amy Rodriguez had been promoted to lieutenant. She was leading a patrol in the frontier sectors, the same areas where human forces once struggled with failing weapons. Now they patrolled with confidence, knowing their equipment would not betray them in critical moments. Amy looked at her rifle, thinking about all the work that went into transforming it. "We took their junk and made it into something they never expected. That is pretty amazing when you think about it." Her squad mate nodded. "My grandfather always said that humans are at their best when things are at their worst. Give us a challenge, and we will find a way to beat it." The Council learned that the hard way. Back on Earth, engineers continued their work. They were not satisfied with just improving the Mark VII. They studied every piece of alien technology they could access, looking for ways to make it better, more efficient, more reliable. Human workshops became centers of innovation, taking complicated alien designs and streamlining them into practical tools. Kate Sullivan stood in her workshop on Luna Base, looking at the assembly lines that had produced thousands of modified rifles. This was just the beginning. Already her team was working on improvements to other systems: body armor, ship engines, communication equipment. Every piece of technology the Council provided would be examined and enhanced. "They gave us a gift without realizing it," Kate said to Brandon Lee, her chief engineer. "They showed us their technology and expected us to use it as designed. Instead, we learned how it works and found ways to make it better." "Do you think they regret it?" Brandon asked. "Some of them do. The Vrexian definitely regrets underestimating us, but others see the value in what we bring. Human engineering is going to change the galaxy." "That is a big claim," Kate smiled. "Watch. In 5 years, half the species in the Council will be using human-designed components in their equipment. In 10 years, human engineering will be a recognized discipline. We are not just soldiers anymore. We are innovators, and the galaxy needs innovation." Commander Jake Morrison returned to Earth a hero, but he did not feel like one. He had simply done what needed to be done. He had protected his people and proven that humanity deserved respect. At a ceremony honoring the soldiers who fought at Outpost 17, Jake spoke to the assembled troops. "The Council tried to limit us with outdated weapons. They thought it would keep us weak and dependent. They were wrong. We took what they gave us and made it better. We proved that human ingenuity is more powerful than any weapon." He paused, looking at the faces of soldiers who had risked everything. "But this is just the start. We have earned our place in the galaxy. Now we have to prove we deserve to keep it. That means continuing to innovate, continuing to improve, continuing to show that humans are not just fighters, but builders and creators. The Council will never underestimate us again, but more importantly, we will never underestimate ourselves. We know what we can accomplish. We know that no challenge is too great, no obstacle too large. Give us a problem, and we will find a solution. Give us broken tools, and we will fix them. That is who we are. That is what makes us human. The applause was thunderous. These soldiers had lived the truth of those words. They had fought with weapons that should have failed and won victories that should have been impossible. In the months that followed, human influence in the galaxy grew rapidly. Other species hired human engineers. Human-designed components became standard in frontier equipment. Human tactical doctrine was studied and adopted. The species that had been given outdated weapons to keep them weak became a center of innovation and military excellence. The Vrexian ambassador watched these developments with growing concern. He had been part of the decision to limit humanity's military capability. Now, he saw the results of that mistake. Humanity was not weakened, they were strengthened by the challenge. They had taken an insult and transformed it into opportunity. The Arxian Primarch, however, was pleased. "We tested humanity without meaning to," the ancient being told the Council. "We gave them a challenge and they exceeded it. That is the mark of a species with great potential. Perhaps we should stop trying to limit such species and start learning from them instead." Kate Sullivan received offers from a dozen different species to lead their engineering programs. She turned them all down. "My place is with humanity," she told Jake Morrison. "We have so much more to accomplish. The Mark 7 was just the beginning." "What is next?" Jake asked. "Everything. Better ships, better weapons, better technology for colony construction. Human engineers are going to revolutionize how things are built in this galaxy. We are going to show everyone that complicated does not mean better. Simple, reliable, and effective will always win." The Council is not going to like that. The Council gave us outdated weapons because they underestimated us. Now they regret it. Let that be a lesson to everyone. Never underestimate humanity. Never assume we will accept limitations. Never bet against human determination and ingenuity. Jake smiled. "I think the galaxy is learning that lesson." "Good, because we are just getting started." In the frontier sectors, human patrols continued their missions with confidence. They carried weapons they could trust, built by engineers who understood that soldiers' lives depended on reliability. The Mark 7 Reborn rifles became legendary, a symbol of human capability and determination. When alien species asked about the weapons, human soldiers told the story proudly. The Council gave them junk to keep them weak. Humanity refused to accept it. They took outdated technology and made it better than the original designs. They proved that innovation and determination could overcome any disadvantage. The galaxy had tried to limit humanity with inferior equipment. Instead, they had given humanity a challenge, and humanity had done what it always did when challenged. They adapted, they overcame, they excelled. The age of human expansion had truly begun, and it started with a simple lesson that the Galactic Council would never forget. Never give humans outdated weapons unless you are prepared to be amazed by what they do with them. Human technology. No, they had not violated any regulations. All the modifications used human components and human engineering. The plasma rifles remained fundamentally the same weapons the Council had provided. "You gave us equipment," Jake said simply. "We maintained it and repaired it using our own methods. The weapons worked better because we fixed the design flaws. That is all." The Council was trapped. They could not punish humanity for making repairs. They could not confiscate the modified weapons without admitting they had given humans defective equipment in the first place. And they could not deny the results. 300 humans had defeated 1,000 Krell raiders with minimal losses. The Arxian Primarch, oldest member of the council, finally spoke. "It seems we underestimated humanity. This will not happen again." Jake met the ancient alien's eyes steadily. "No, it will not." The assembly lines hummed. Engineers worked late into the night. Thousands of rifles were being transformed from ancient surplus into modern weapons of war. The council had given humans outdated equipment. They thought it would keep humanity weak and dependent. They never considered that weakness could be transformed into strength, that limitations could become motivation, that humans had spent their entire history overcoming disadvantages. Kate picked up one of the completed rifles. It was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. Simple, reliable, and deadly effective. The council was going to be very surprised when they discovered what humanity had done. And Kate could not wait to see their faces, eyed it to his shoulder, and looked through the sights. The targeting display came up instantly, crisp and responsive. "This is not the same weapon," he said. "No, it is not. We rebuilt it from the ground up. Human technology, human engineering. The council gave us junk. We turned it into something better." Marcus aimed at a target across the room. The crosshairs tracked smoothly, no lag, no delay. He lowered the rifle and looked at Kate. "How many of these do we have?" "About 500 now. In another month, every rifle in the human arsenal will be upgraded." "Good, because when I go back out there, I am going to make the Krell pay for what happened at Kestor 4, and I want a weapon I can count on." Kate smiled grimly. "You will have it, and so will every other human soldier. The council thought giving us outdated weapons would keep us weak. They are about to learn that they just gave us motivation to become stronger." Kate nodded. "Give me 3 months and a team of good engineers. I can upgrade every rifle we have. The council gave us garbage. We are going to turn it into something they never expected." "Do it," Jake said immediately. "Whatever you need, you have it. Because sooner or later, we are going to face real danger out there. And when we do, I want our people to have weapons they can trust." Kate smiled. "They will. And when the council sees what we did with their outdated junk, they are going to regret underestimating us." The work began that night. Kate assembled her team in secret workshops on the moon. They took apart the Mark 7 rifles piece by piece. They studied every component, every system, every design choice. And then they rebuilt them, better and stronger than before. The council had given humanity outdated weapons. They thought it would keep humans weak and dependent. They were about to discover their mistake. Because humanity had spent thousands of years turning disadvantages into advantages. They had survived on a dangerous world with limited resources. They had built civilizations from nothing. They had reached for the stars despite every obstacle. A few bad weapons were not going to stop them now.